Hi, welcome today to a very interesting panel discussion. Bloomberg Quint Supermoms, how tech CXOs balance leadership and motherhood. And I have a fantastic panel today here with me. I have Sarika Naik, she's CMO Capgemini India. Amrita Gangotra, she's Managing Director, Ityukt, and Independent Board Member, Tanla Platforms. Vinny Sharma, Head of Marketing India and SARC at Infoblox, and Roshni Das, Marketing Director, Intel India. And my name is Dipali Nair. I am the Chief Marketing Officer for IBM in India and South Asia. And all of us protest on the word supermoms because we don't feel we are, but we want to share our stories and we want to share with you, how to make it look easy, maybe. However, I think at the juncture that we are at today, this discussion becomes even more important. So there is a study that McKinsey has done, and McKinsey Global Institute has published a number saying women's jobs today are 1.8 times more vulnerable to the COVID-19 crisis than those of men. Women, as you know, tend to take on a larger share of caregiving responsibilities at home, which continues to be disrupted so much today by schools, school-going children, schools closures, and also, of course, care for the elders, that women need to provide. I'm remembering, what Simone de Beauvoir said, and she really made it famous by comparing what women do at home to the curse of the Sisyphus. So Sisyphus, this is Greek mythology king, who rolled a boulder up to the top of the mountain, and just as soon as he was near the mountain, it rolled back down. And, philosopher Simone de Beauvoir really said this, and she said that, women's jobs at home are like that. You clean and it gets soiled, and you clean and it gets soiled, and it amounts to nothing. And I think this is the cycle, that women are dealing with. In her words, the battle against dust and dirt is never won. So in the wake of this whole, pandemic, the lopsided burden, as I call it, of unpaid domestic labor, I think, is coming home, not just to the women who were always at home, but also to the women who are now staying at home because they're working completely from home. Even in India, in a survey done among us 400 women, 89% said that demands on their personal time and daily routine have changed dramatically due to the pandemic. And 92% of them indicated that these shifts are not positive, they are negative. Okay, with that, I want to first bring, Amrita here to talk to us. Amrita, you already have a daughter, who is in college, who is married. You've seen all the stages, of a working mother yourself. I want you to give us a context of what has changed for the working mother over the years, and what's the difference, what I call, a difference between a working woman and a working mother. Amrita, over to you.
Thank you, Dipali, and thanks for this opportunity, Bloomberg Quint. Yes, and as you rightly said, I have a daughter who's actually 26 years old and is married. She's a fellow at Georgetown, so she's done her engineering, her PhD. So I have seen her grow over the years. And for me, I have always worked, except for the 4 months when I had her. When she was born, I did not take a break in my career. So I have seen it all from the 90s when I started working. During that time, and I would say that at least the ecosystem, which means the government, the companies, in the 90s, India was just about opening up, and the rules and regulations and the policies within the companies but not necessarily supportive. Although when she was born, I was in a company called Nestle, which brought in a lot of policies from world over, etc. It was a very friendly, caring, family-oriented company. So I could take advantage of some of the policies, like a 4-month maternity leave, or baby food for a full year, and things like that, which I was fortunate, I would say. And most women at that time did not have that support of the government or of the companies. Today, if you look at it, the situation has changed. The government of India 4 years ago brought in this maternity leave. They have rules like if your company is more than 50 employees, you must have a creche. And things like that have changed. Each and every company today, because of diversity and inclusivity as being a focus area, they are trying their best to create policies that are favoring women. Yeah. So I would say that while it is the companies and the government is doing its bit, it's become much more harder for the working women in today's environment, given the nuclear family that is much more prevalent. And in the pandemic, because of that, it's, as you have just said, the reports are also pointing and the surveys are pointing towards the fact that it's much more, there is much more pressure for the women. As far as working women and a working mother, Dipali, when you're a mother, you have much more responsibility of the child. You have to ensure the child is under your protection, under your guidance. When you don't have a responsibility of children, you can take much more bolder decisions that are more self-centered, decisions which you could walk away from, and things like that. So that is one big difference, actually, that sometimes is always 24/7 in your minds.
Thank you, Amrita, for bringing that out, that I think you become far more responsible and cautious, once you're a working mother in terms of your decision making. And with that, I want to come to Sarika, who's got 2 school-going children. Sarika, since we are discussing in the context of, tech CXOs, so do you think tech companies were in any case better placed, for working mothers?
Thank you, Dipali, and thank you, Bloomberg Quint, for this opportunity. I will pick it up from where Amrita, she mentioned that it was always challenging for women in the workforce, and while things have improved in some way, they have actually slided in another way. And with COVID, in fact, it slided in the negative side much faster than in the positive side. And, it's impacted almost all women. So there's nobody who is, actually it's impacted the whole, world. But it's impacted women in a far more way, especially both physically and emotionally. Not just the drudgery of a lot of work that needs to be done, because, despite the fact that the man and the woman are often at home, the expectation is really that the woman will take the lead part in all the household chores, whether it is cooking, cleaning, taking care of kids, or any of that combination. And on the other side, the expectation of the organizations has always been that you continue to perform and you continue to be productive. As far as the IT organizations are concerned, I think they were among the first ones to enable work from home. And for many of us, work from home, and Amrita, I relate to what you said, the 3 months maternity leave that we took. Work from home at that point in time was never an option. It was one of those rare gifts that perhaps, some company launched. And for IT companies, enabling work from home was much faster, but there has been a reverse impact also, that the hours that each one of us are putting in every single day is far higher. And there doesn't seem to be an end to the day, especially those, who are supporting global clients, who are working in global roles. The day does not seem to be 12 or 14 hours. So I would say that while the IT companies have enabled a lot more women to work from home, so in that sense, reduce the travel, but from a expectation of what you are supposed to deliver, that expectation has actually significantly gone up. Just to give an example, Dipali, very recently seeing the stress levels among our employees, many of our business units have announced that no official calls after a certain time. So, even if you are in global roles, there's just a certain block of hours where you can have official calls. After that, you cannot have official calls.
That's really nice. Within IBM marketing also, our new global CMO, Carla, she just told us no internal calls on Wednesday. So, middle of the week, at least there are lesser calls on Wednesday. That's really nice. Vinny, I want to ask you. So I agree with Sarika that, from working from home perspective, the tech companies had enabled us better perhaps than the other sectors. But, did they also have to reimagine some things during the pandemic when it came to working mothers, or was it all in place?
Thanks, Dipali. Thank you, Bloomberg, for giving us this opportunity. Yes, tech companies were definitely more enabled. We kind of shifted from, working from full-time offices to, working from homes at a much faster pace. But from a people perspective, I would say that we were not ready. Whether, there are, I as an individual or, our global teams, because it's very humane that we have worked in a certain way from umpteen numbers of years, right? That's not going to change in a day. But still, I felt we kind of transitioned in a much more faster fashion, because the adaptability was quite fast. So initially, when the work from home started, we were like flooded with calls day in and day in. Anybody and everybody who wanted to talk to you, you just get a Zoom request without even seeing that what is the quantifiable results coming out of this Zoom call. But everybody wanted to be on Zoom. So I think over a period of time, the organizations themselves have also realized that, like in our usual life, we never used to have meetings all the time. We were traveling, we were doing our work, we were going to, home, and there was a hard stop that now that I've reached home, I have my personal things to look after. The companies have also started realizing this over a period of time. As you were mentioning that, and Sarika was mentioning that there is a hard stop on calls, and you were mentioning Wednesday is like a day off calls. So most of the companies, like our company, is also like Wednesday is a no call day, right? So I think these are the smaller things that they are doing. And I think another one thing is we have to learn in order to learn, and delegate, right? So every day we are learning something new. As a mother, as someone who always used to travel a lot, go to office, network with colleagues, go out for QBRs and everything, I'm also learning every day, how do I need to stick to home and work from home and structure my day in a much better fashion, which I didn't know initially how to do it. And it was all helter-skelter, and it was quite overwhelming, at least for the first 2 to 3 months. So, yeah.
Thanks, Winnie, for demonstrating that vulnerability. I think all of us went through that. And with that, I want to come and talk to Roshni. Roshni, I want you to, of course, talk about Intel and tell us that, how did Intel react to this, just like we've heard from Winnie, and allowed you, for example, to be a great mother, if not a super mom, as a label. But I think more towards, how are they building an equitable workplace such that the burden on the women is recognized and is perhaps lesser?
Yeah, thank you, Dipali, and thank you, of course, Bloomberg Quint. I think because we have this amazing platform, I do want to say that it's a very tough time for everyone. And, my heart does go out to everyone facing some kind of personal suffering. And I hope the situation does get better. But yeah, we did make a few changes. I think, as everybody has said here, right, the health and well-being of employees and the communities around us became focus for Intel. And I think for companies like IBM and every other company over here, I think that was a pivot of focus. Secondly, yes, I agree with the team here that IT companies, those who invested in technology, were able to pivot to a more remote working environment much faster. So at least for Intel, within the first 4 to 6 weeks, we had the right level of remote working infrastructure, collaboration tools, training on how to work together. Of course, given the fact that the nature of our roles are global, a lot of the collaboration itself is pretty seamless. Since you talk about motherhood and you talk about women in the workplace, the other focus was expanded wellness programs, right? And I am so glad mental health is a big focus for a lot of our organizations, because you did talk about, right, the additional responsibilities that a lot of women have to also participate in. I think the focus on wellness programs, employee assistance programs, virtual clinics have been expanded considerably. And I'm not ashamed to say that I've used them, right? I did have a session with a wellness coach, and it makes a lot of difference to have milestones on how to prioritize both work, and your family. And I think encouraging literally people to take time off, we don't put enough of a premium for people to stop at a certain hour, make that break, right? Because it feels like Groundhog Day. Every day is blurring into the other. So encouraging our employees to take time off has been beneficial. And like many of you, like IBM on Wednesdays, we have Friday no meetings. So you can learn, you can email, you can shut down. And I think all of those have definitely helped me prioritize my time. And the last thing I would say is shorter meetings, right? The Zoom fatigue or the screen fatigue is so high. So now we mandate, at least internally, that instead of a 30-minute meeting, make it 25. So as a mother, as somebody who's managing family, you can just pop out and say hello to the kids, check if everything is in place. So simple things like this have really helped us cope, and I'm hoping more organizations make these changes.
Thank you, Roshni, for bringing about that aspect of the mental well-being. And I know, all of us are different in the sense that Winnie has, one school-going daughter, and you again have 2 school-going children. My son is transitioning into high school. He's a teenager, but I think all of our stories are similar in terms of, what needed to be done. Amrita, I'm going to come back to you because I want to make this a little bit more personal. And I say that, okay, while we were going through this, and I know you were a remote mother just now, I know that, while your daughter's not, with you, but I think the role of a mother doesn't stop, in that sense. But I also want you to focus on yourself. Just tell us that as a person, as a professional, and as a mother, what did you learn during the pandemic about yourself?
Actually, if you look at my story, in 2019, I came back from Europe. I was with Vodafone, their CTIO in the European OpCo. And in 2019, I decided I wanted to, turn pivot. Every 8 to 10 years, I've been changing my career path, let me say. So I said, I'm going to try out the entrepreneurship and start off and build a company, which is a boutique consulting and advisory firm in digital IT and network. The first year when we set it up, fortunately, we set it up, we were tech savvy, we set it up pretty much in a fashion that people could work from anywhere, and we were doing projects from everywhere and things like that. When the pandemic hit, actually, again, because of the model that we adopted, we were able to continue a little bit more seamlessly. Of course, the client interaction and, the relationship building takes time. A lot of projects got stalled because, the decision making, at least as far as technology projects are concerned, was sort of, okay, let's wait and watch. So the first 3-4 months in March to, let's say, June, July was that. But subsequently, as you would know, that, IT and technology is the big focus in the pandemic, because that is what is really helping with the 4G and 5G network telecom. So work picked up quite significantly. In fact, we were able to pick up projects where we have physically not met the clients, maybe done some, even the Zoom, sometimes it's on audio and you've not necessarily seen all of them even face to face on LinkedIn and otherwise. So it's been an interesting transition to the entrepreneurship, and B, the fact that it's happened in the pandemic, where I wasn't very sure whether after doing a corporate role with the management team for 30 years, whether I would be able to. But personally, I thrive on challenges. I have the drive and the ambition to try out things. And so that helped me, I would say, that I did not let it go. And that sort of helped me transition from being a fully corporate technology-oriented management person to a startup entrepreneur facing the pandemic. I was fortunate, I would say. And even today, I'm actually working from my home in the hills where there is no broadband. But because there is technology of the telecom, the LTE, that provides that support where I'm able to also do panels like this. So, we've been really fortunate because of the whole transition that has happened because of the technology, yes, the telecom evolution, that the pandemic has hit us at a time when, although my daughter, for example, is in the US, we talk every day, morning, evening, and we are on video. So it doesn't feel such an, that she's very far away. In fact, in 2020, we had planned a grand wedding for her in India, but we couldn't do that because of the pandemic. She got married in New Zealand. They shifted countries from France, India to the US in this pandemic in a span of 4 months. which fortunately for us was sort of seamless given all the challenges that are there. So I would say overall, we've been really fortunate and we really thank God for that and thank our blessings for that. But it has been challenging in different ways.
Amrita, while talking to you the other day, I discovered that you speak about drive a whole lot and that drive drives you even now. And I think you're my example of a person who makes it look easy and makes it sound easy, for sure. And I know that a lot of us need to do that in our leadership, roles. So I'm not going to ask the same question to Sarika, but Sarika, when you and I were discussing the other day, it was a beautiful story that you spoke about how the equations at home have changed with the children, and what they've discovered and what you've discovered about them. I want you to talk about that, please, because I think that's also huge, insight and learning from the pandemic.
Sure, Dipali. And, you're right, Amrita makes it sound very easy. I'm sure those transitions were very, very difficult. For us, the COVID brought a very different kind of a challenge. First and foremost, we were not so fortunate to get out of COVID unscathed. We lost my father-in-law, to COVID, and it was very painful losing him because he was with us. And, in many ways, our house was the first house in our whole community to, be tested as positive. My mom-in-law was positive. She survived, thankfully. And I was also positive for a very long time with a very high viral load. So in many ways, for us, that period, was one of the most challenging ones, but it brought out something in the family that today is something that we really cherish because as parents, and my husband, he's been a successful corporate and an entrepreneur himself. And now he's moved to the social sector, all during the COVID times, by the way. So some transition for us as well, like Amrita. But the part that I wanted to highlight is, we always project ourselves as, very strong and that epithet of super mom, which actually is not something we should go after. So we would always not show our vulnerable side to our children, always show the stronger, more confident side. But that period of almost about 15 days, really brought us, my husband and myself, to a point where we really were depending on our children for a lot more of emotional support, because one, we lost my father-in-law, mother-in-law, no chances of survival really in some way. And I was also in quarantine. I think the children learned the fact that, one, the parents are human. Second, they, overnight seem to step up on their responsibilities. My daughter is 15 and my son is 12. So really not so young, but, not really adults in that sense. So I saw them, really step up on responsibilities, not just at home, but, being around for each of us. And today I see that it's not gone away after the COVID has left us, So even today I see them stepping up and checking on us every time, saying that, are you okay, mom? You seem to have a long day. Is everything okay? Are you feeling all right? Second, I think the part which has been a very beneficial aftermath of, the COVID is their own recognition of the people who work around them, so whether it's the house support staff or it's the drivers, I see them more sensitive to them. They were always, they're privileged kids, to be honest, but I find them valuing their work a little more. And in fact, as a big surprise, my daughter launched a fundraiser just a few weeks back, completely on her own. We did not ask her. She found out about the requirement in a certain area of slums. They needed oximeters. She spoke to Give India. She tied up with the NGO and she raised a phenomenal 2 lakhs in 24 hours. And guess what? She got covered in a lot of media. So she was super thrilled. So she came back and said, Mom, how can I make this more wider for my friends? So I think, while many of us have faced loss in different degrees, I think it has left with us a lot more appreciation for the family, a lot more appreciation for who we are as people, not just as dad and mom and, daughter and son. So definitely a lot more, touchy-feely feelings in the family.
No, I'm hoping that this generation of children, therefore, are are a generation and a cohort which have greater appreciation for blue collar jobs. Therefore, Sarika, that's therefore I think your story and your daughter's story is such a heartening one, to hear. And just like
if I may add, Dipali, just a second, as you started off, Sarika, saying that it seems that I make it look easy, but it isn't. It's about, do you see the glass full or do you see it half, empty? That is most important. When I have seen my daughter's wedding over the Zoom, that's not a feeling of one daughter, ever having. But we said, okay, we will park the celebration for later. Let's look at the positive side of what has happened to us in this period. That's important. That wellness that Roshni talked about, the mental health and looking at the positive. You brought out the positivity of what happened because of the hardship that you went through. So that was one point I just wanted to.
Absolutely, Amrita. Thank you for saying that. And, Sarika, your husband changed jobs during the pandemic. Winnie herself has changed jobs, during the pandemic, and she has a young school going daughter. I think, Winnie, once again with you, I want you to talk about just the changed equation with your daughter in a very different way. She's much younger compared to, Sarika's daughter. But I want you also to talk about that, please.
So I think from the time that she's born, it's the first time, obviously, the 3 months maternity period for all of us, except that I have actually never, spent so much time with her, with traveling, with so much work. And by the time you come home, you're already exhausted. And all you do is you tick mark your responsibilities of, feeding your child, doing the basics, and then, checking your mails at the night, and, you sleep off. And again, the morning routine starts. So when I was I'm still at home, sorry. So when I started working from home, I realized that, that we don't gel well at all. All we did was like arguing over because I wanted everything structured, because that's how we are. We are professionals. We as women managing home and office and doing so many things at one point in time, making our list of what to do over the weekend. So we are very, very structured. So I wanted that structure to, continue, duplicate at home. That didn't work. We literally, and I said that she was 9 last year. I was like, she's just 9 and we are having arguments from now. What will happen by the time she reached her teens? It's going to get bad. So I just kind of, thought that maybe I am doing something wrong. As a child, I wanted my own freedom. So, my mother, if she used to poke, to me to do things, I always used to take another way, that this is what I want to do. I said, I'm sure that she expects that kind of freedom from me. As long as she's doing what is expected out of her, why should I would want to, burden herself with more things? Because I am at home and I want that with the time that I am at home, I would want her to learn this and do this. So I kind of realized that and took a step back, and I said that, she's been a good kid, anything. I'll give you a small example. Every time my mother used to give me a glass full of milk, half of that or more than full glass used to go in a wash basin or somewhere or something. It used to be thrown out. I hate milk. And every time I give her even anything to eat or anything to drink, she will not she's been a very good child. She'll never say that I need junk food or I need this. I'll give her normal dal, rice, roti, milk. She will have all her meals without even blinking her eye. I said, that means there is something wrong with me. So I need to, I'm setting my expectations too high. So that's where, we started talking, and my husband has a beautiful relationship with her. Because of my travel, he's always remain much closer with her. And I always, I was telling you the other day that I give 70 to 80% of the, credit to him in raising my daughter. All right. So I think it's changed. As every relationship takes its own time, except using the terms like Sarika was saying, dad, mom, daughter, son, it actually needs time to know that, them as a person. So maybe now I have started knowing her as an individual, that what she needs, what she likes, what she doesn't like, and where I need to take a step back, and what are the things that we can do together. So it's a learning which has started. So pandemic has given us this, and this will obviously, we'll again fall, we'll again rise, but we know what way to, latch on and then continue our journey from there.
Yeah. Vineet, that's such a beautiful point that we all tend to bring our management styles and structure to home, in managing our children or family or maids, and also, I think that as working moms, we may come across as too rational, not that we are not emotional. It's just that we're used to discussing very heavy loaded stuff in a very matter of fact manner, So, and I could see when you were talking about your husband, Roshni, nodding, because I happen to know that, she also, and may the tribe of such men grow. So Roshni is also lucky to have, a partner who takes the load off her in bringing up her children. Roshni, tell me about that also. But there is one point that I want you to cover, and that really is that from the survey that I was earlier talking about, 1 in 4 women are actually considering downshifting their careers, or leaving the workforce completely due to the impact and the, experience they've had, during COVID-19. Have you experienced that in your team, and what can the organizations do to make it sound better? So 2 things really. Tell us about the work at home and how your husband supports us, and then of course about women wanting to leave.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm in the same camp as Vinny. Definitely, we're all like super moms, or multitasking moms, I would say, simply because we get a lot of help from our spouses. My husband Arun, when I ask him, when I ask my daughter, what do you do with your dada? She says, we crack jokes and we act silly, which I felt was a great relationship that he's built, to see joy and happiness during this time, to keep the emotional stability of kids also is very, very important. So time with our kids has definitely grown. I've learned to be a little more silly, definitely, than I used to be. But I agree with my 14-year-old boy, the equation was a learning equation. As Vinny was saying, we don't realize that like we are dealing with anxiety, our employees are dealing with anxiety and uncertainty. We take for granted that the kids are going to talk about it. And when you prod them in their moments, I think when I go for walks with my son is when he tells me about, look, I'm not happy with life across windows. I want to go back. So there is, I feel, wellness discussions in knowing that our kids also need, those heart-to-heart talks is a big eye-opener, through this pandemic. So yeah, but like I said, I'm happy to have a partner who shares the load. On the most starker question, Dipali, yes, I think there are studies that have shown that women have dropped off the workforce simply because of the additional load, right? And despite a lot of best efforts, that is a reality. So while it hasn't happened within my immediate team or, the sales and marketing fraternity, more and more emphasis is getting placed on return to workplace programs, right? And I feel a lot of us corporates, and that this emphasis should continue. If you want to take a break and planned leave, flexi hours are some of the policies that really help during this time. So if we can consciously look at flexi hours program like we do have at Intel, we have a return to workplace program for women. I think all of these are at least going to have a lesser downstream impact, over next year, because we all know that the pandemic, the waves are here to stay. So the further you can look at how do you want to look at a distributed workforce later and make changes now, I think will be important. The other pieces are, I think, as an ecosystem, right? We can't do this single-handedly. And I see that in every forum as more corporates coming together, looking at ecosystem policies really help. We run a program called Being Wise. Wise is women social leaders and entrepreneurs, women innovators, social leaders and entrepreneurs. And these are places where we put focus on women entrepreneurship, sourcing from women. So the supply chain also continues and we pay it forward. So I think these are a few things that we should be conscious of. And I've talked about mental health a lot. I think that emphasis should continue.
Yeah. And, with that, I just want to say this, that sometimes it does get tough and you do end up taking a sabbatical and things are not always, in your favor. I've done 2 sabbaticals in my life, and, one with my son and second to take care of my mother, just as recent as, 2016. That's a different subject altogether. Coming back from a sabbatical, what do you do during a sabbatical? I think makes a huge difference of whether you can come back and how do you do that successfully. And I think I'm going to request Bloomberg Quint, maybe they want to look at that, and you're right in pointing out, saying that, with the wave 2 coming and wave 3 expected, you don't know how it's going to look like 2 years from now. But yeah, I can go on for 45 minutes just on that, but, I'm going to move on. Amrita, I want to, talk to you about the fact that, we did talk about, ourselves and, responsibility of a mother, you mentioned earlier, and therefore the decisions that you take are far more responsible. With examples from your life, tell us, when you had to balance work and children, how did you find time for yourself, and was it really important?
Yeah, before I take examples, really, I think I would like to say that, the pandemic is different, but hopefully it will balance out. And going forward, women have to take some decisions which may be contrary to the culture that we are growing in, or we have. As an example, taking help either from supportive husband. I have a very, very supportive husband even today at the age of 26 and all. They're joking, and he's taken off a lot of load, and he was flexible enough because he was already an entrepreneur. But the help at home, for example, spend money and think that is the most important thing. Having a housekeeper versus having a maid, there's a lot of difference. When my child was growing up from the class 8 to 5, actually I had literally a housekeeper. She was educated, she had children, she was a widower, she used to stay with us, and she literally ran the house, the kitchen, and was a companion to my daughter when we were not there, whether it's looking at her homework or playing with her carom and stuff like that. So investing a part of your money so that the child is also taken care of at that particular point of time is extremely important, I would say. So, these are some of the examples I would say I've had, or experiences I've had. The other experience or example I would like to share with everybody, while women should not have the guilt, if you're having a career, then the fact that you're giving your best to your career should not create a guilt conscious that you're not looking after your child or you're not spending time with that. The quality time is important. So like I was saying, there was a time when my daughter was for 3 years in Lawrence School in boarding, and they used to have the Founders Day during the same time when we used to have our leadership meet at Bharti Airtel, really overlapping in that time it was outside the country. So I would make it a point that, I would fly back, even if it was mid of the conference, finish my part of it. And the bosses, sort of organized it in such a manner that, my part would get over, and then I could fly back and attend the Founders Days for her. So balancing out along the way, taking a decision that what really matters at that point of time are important things. But having said that, taking help and spending money and proper quality people should be surrounding you and taking care of your child is very important, I would say.
I think that's extremely useful, Amrita, what you've said, especially the concept of a housekeeper. I so admire that you've shared that with all of us. It may sound like a small thing, but I think it's one of the most important things that you did, for yourself and for your daughter. I think a very, very important, message for everyone. Similarly, Winnie, maybe you first, and then Roshni, and then Sarika, tips on how do you find time for yourself and make your life easier? Or what do you do when you have time?
I think I cook. I love cooking, exploring different cuisines. That's something that I do. I just kind of, sit alone. You just need time for yourself, not thinking about work at all. Just maybe on your phone or having a book is something that I want. I just don't want to at times don't want to talk with anyone because I'm so sloshed out after the calls and everything. I just want to be at one place where nobody disturbs me. Nobody comes asking that, Didi, ghar pe kya khana banega? No, it's just my time. I just want to sit because it kind of, pumps me up because I don't take too much breaks because of the kind of work that I am in. But whenever I do, I just want to be left alone and sit at peace, or cooking, because that really, helps me. That makes me very, very happy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Roshni?
I'm a big fan of podcasts. You run a very successful podcast yourself, Dipali, and readers on the show, please watch Dipali's show. She profiles a lot of good CEOs. But yeah, Spotify, IVM, I do listen in when I do my walks. So that's my me time, my walk, and my listening. I've graduated to being a good gardening person over the pandemic. And then because we've got kids, I think I've learned to make some really cool chocolate cake with my daughter. Some of these, when we get a little bit of downtime, allows me to think and allows me to also expand myself.
Sure. Sarika, how about you?
So I'm a very list kind of a person. So I have this huge list of things that I want to do. Some of them have come true thanks to the pandemic. So relearned how to ride the Enfield Bullet, and I ride out when I can. Not that I have one of my own, so happily borrow my friends and take that out. I love to sing. I love to write. And I've almost written. Which I never managed to do in all these 2 decades of work, which I always wanted to be an author, managed to write something which I think I can take out as a book very soon.
Wow.
And yes, sports has always been very integral to our family. We try to do a lot of things together. My husband is a full marathoner and an ultra runner. I just managed to do half marathon. And what I managed to do is I dragged the children along with me. Of course, right now it's all lockdown, so they have a good excuse. But yes, a lot of outdoors is what I enjoy, because it gives me the fresh air and a lot more away from home. And the evening board games, I'm sure all of us have done that. I've just become so much more better in Scrabble, and I've learned words which I didn't know earlier. So a lot of relearning of some of those things that we used to do, when we were at school.
Yeah. Great that you shared that. I must also say that starting the podcast last year during the pandemic was my savior in terms of keeping me sane and ensuring my mental well-being. Of course, the fact that it's been received very well is, an added, bonus. We have very little time, about 8 minutes left. I want to come to you with two rounds of, questions to each one of you, and in any particular order that you like. How did you change your parenting style? And this one I'm not taking to Amrita first. Did you change your parenting style in any manner, or your work style in any manner, during the pandemic? For example, I have discovered that I've become immensely patient, with disturbances, right? It could be a Wi-Fi thing, it could be a pet coming in, it could be a child disturbing a meeting, however important it is. I've discovered that I've become very, very patient at work. How did you change your parenting or your work style?
So I can go first. I think whenever you do leadership lessons, the one thing they say is listen more, right?
Yes.
Is, 2 ears and one mouth. So I think that has, I think consciously, I wouldn't say I'm there, but consciously I've had to move more to listening to my team, the people around me, and I'm hoping that I would get better at that. But that has helped open up more conversation, more empathy, both ways. And I think the big focus that I made, for the team as well and for myself is just prioritizing workloads. Like, do the important, not the urgent, and then you can make that distinction. From a personal side, I think I spent a lot more time on moments, right? Like this year we had Onam, and I think every one of the days I did a Pookalam with my daughter. I don't think I would have done it at any other time. It helped me spend a little time with her, and also design something interesting, helping my creative side. My husband has made a lot of time. Like I said, that discipline of his running every day has also, passed on to us to make a little time for yourself in terms of physical fitness. So I think these few changes have meant a lot during this.
And Sarika?
I would actually resonate with what Roshni said, and perhaps just add one more addition to listening is a lot more empathy and a lot more putting myself in the other person's shoes, and often, especially, and in both cases, it's the same at work and it's the same at home, because often when we are, driving large projects, transformation initiatives, sometimes the focus is so much more on getting things done that sometimes you miss the section that what is this environment in which the other teams are working in. And currently, because there's a heightened sense of awareness that there is a lot people are grappling with and still continuing to work. So I think, my sensitivity to pick up the, as soon as somebody says hello, even if they are not on the, video, I'm able to pick up the tone much better and, kind of change my approach also on the conversation. Same as the way with kids, and Roshni said a very interesting thing. She said, just because they are kids, it's not that they don't have, feelings of frustration and being stuck at home. I think my ability to listen to them and put myself in their shoes, that they are not kids, they are, individuals in a sense, has gone up.
Great. Vinny, how about you? Before I come on to Amrita with a very different question.
All right. I think both Roshni and Sarika have said it all, but it's the same for me. It's a much more focused approach on what needs to be done instead of doing it all, because doing it all actually comes on you at the end of the day, because you are the one who gets so much overwhelmed with doing it all. So you have to set boundaries for yourself, and that's how you will be able to, move to next day. So I think that's one of the things, and definitely, empathy, because with your teams and with your customers also, the expectations is, whether it's pandemic, whether it's your normal life, what we used to lead earlier, that, everybody wants the same results, right? But that is not the case. So, when it started on a very different note, but over a period of time, everybody has realized. And I think one thing that pandemic has changed is that we definitely ask, instead of saying just, hello, this is what I need. How are you doing? How is everybody at your home? So, these are the smaller things that I think that has been inculcated now in us. And we would definitely call and try to check that if things are well with you. So these are the smaller things which I think which were missing. And we used to come direct straight to point. Yeah. But these are things which are necessary, and these are not bad things that we can carry.
Not at all. And Vinny, I think that, these were the corridor and the water cooler conversations that used to happen earlier. Right. It's just that didn't have place inside a meeting room. Now they've found place inside the Zoom or the WebEx or Teams. So I think, but thank you for saying that. Amrita, in your experience, some of the changes that we've discussed and highlighted, how many of these do you think would be permanent, or are these transient? What is your comment on that?
I think people are going through an experience and they're introspecting a lot. Some of these things, because I've had an international exposure also, I find the work culture in India versus the work culture in Western world is different. They do compartmentalize, Saturday, Sunday means they have me time, they spend all of that. If that realization also comes into India, the well-being and the mental health of our people will be much better. Bosses will be more sympathetic, and, they will try to understand, because as Vinny also mentioned, is first thing over here is that, okay, let's get to the work, and then we will go and ask about other things. I think that will change. And I do hope the longer this will, not that I want the pandemic to last long, but, hopefully people's realization will continue. They will see the benefit of this hybrid. The social interaction is also required. So people will go back to work. But the fact that they will allow, one example being that I have seen Indian bosses want everybody to come to office, and they don't understand this work from home. And they didn't understand this very much before the pandemic. But I was in Vodafone in Europe. We were allowed work from home. We had hot desking. We could work from anywhere. And those policies were in place. So I would say that hopefully all that is good in the world over, some of those practices will come in. And I do hope that they stay put, and people are people become more sympathetic, more empathetic, and more caring for their employees.
Yeah, I think Amrita, you've said it for all of us. Vinny, any opinion on that? Any tip or advice, to organizations, or things societal that can make it a better place for working mothers?
I think, organizations, we expect a lot from organizations, and, we want things to happen, but I would want that if you have something in mind, if you have any input, something for a wider betterment of, the working mothers, then, let the organizations know, point it out. It shouldn't be a one-way street. It should be a two-way street, right? So if my boss is sitting out of US and I want him that he should know what a fantabulous job Vinny's doing. And again, he should not micromanage. That's not going to happen, right? I need to portray my work, to him, because if I would have been at his place or her place, he would also be wondering, I don't know what is she doing. So I think in terms of, the expectations that we have from organizations, which is fair, there is a certain number of expectations that the organization would have from us. And they're willing to take inputs, especially nowadays. All they say is that take time off, they try to help us, flexi timings. They're giving so many benefits to the employees. So I think in return,
it's our job too.
It's our job to, also let them know how we are feeling, thank them for what they are doing for us, and be very transparent with them.
Sure. 30 seconds, Roshni, if you want to add anything, or Sarika, otherwise I'm going to do a wrap now. Anything you want to?
I wanted to say two different things. I think, workplaces will become places of collaboration. That's it. You're going to go there to collaborate. The relationships are going to change a bit. So I think that's going to be the norm. Second is, I think with bigger technologies coming in, right? Newer technologies like machine learning, AI, etc. I think the workforces will have to start getting reskilled. And I think the faster organizations look at that, that will be important. And as Vinny was saying, right, being digitally adept is a skill people will have to embrace.
Hygiene.
Right? If you're working in a digital workplace, how are you going to communicate? How are you going to use the tools of collaboration? I think these 3-4 changes organizations are going to have to make room for, and you're going to have to participate in that employee experience as well. Yeah. And then lastly, as a mother, I would just say work, home have collapsed. And like you, Dipali, I think we have to accept, certain levels of noise, children walking into the screens, the acceptability of everyone's personal situation just has to be embraced, for better working homes over the next few months.
Sarika, last word, 30 seconds.
Last word, there's going to be a new normal, and we hope that the best is what we take away and we leave the not so good things about COVID behind. We will try and see how we can look only at the half glass full. And I do hope that's how organizations look at things.
Yeah. Thank you very much for a lively discussion. You know what's my observation? You all make it sound easy. You all had a problem with the epithet supermom, but I think you're super women in a sense that you make multitasking sound so easy. I think the care with which you're taking your personality to work is of course there as a mother, and with that you take care of your families. And I think if anybody was watching this show, they will realize that I think the matter-of-fact way in which you discussed work, your teams, empathy, leadership, giving back to community and taking care of your children and elders, all comes together, with mothers such as you. And I do think that technology firms have done a great job in ensuring that our work from technological capabilities existed. And I think, technology firms are also probably taking the first step in discussing mental well-being and, looking at making policy frameworks around the learnings, that we've had during the pandemic. And, I want to say this last thing, which is, great leaders such as you, and I'm not saying women leaders, I'm saying great leaders such as you make our organizations better. So thank you very much for participating today. And thank you to Bloomberg Quint for hosting this.
Thank you, Dipali, for hosting the lovely session.
Thank you.